Hello, Sydney. It's crazy. Like, these were the masks that we would get with the costume back in the day. And now they're fucking hard plastic. It's like, I don't know how to feel about that. It's like, honestly, before I get to like just straight rambling about the Scream movie, like, what do you guys honestly prefer? Like, the masks that we used to get back in the day with our costumes, like, or these new like hard plastic ones? I mean, obviously this one's gonna keep its shape, but honestly, like, there's nothing more authentic than like the creases and folds that you would get from one of these old ones. And this one has a vanilla scent too. This doesn't really smell like anything. Personally, if you were to ask me, I'll go with the classic ones. That was from the 25th anniversary costume. But we're going to be talking about Scream. The first Scream movie. One of my all-time favorite horror films. I think it is. If it isn't tied with Halloween, then it's just slightly below because it's Halloween. But in my opinion, Scream and Halloween are like the two most important horror movies ever made. Mainly because Halloween defined the slasher genre and Scream revitalized it. When it was dying, people weren't caring about horror movies anymore. The last Halloween movie at that time was, at the time, a huge like bomb. Halloween Curse of Michael Myers. Eventually that movie would grow to obtain a following, but for the longest time a lot of people thought that was shit. I like it personally, but Scream had to happen for horror to be where it is today. And I absolutely adore the shit out of the first Scream movie. Literally, there's nothing that can be said because everything's already been said about it. You know, it took the concept of our reality and made it into a horror film. Like, these people knew about the killers that we know, like Michael Myers, Jason. They commentate about it. The characters feel more like alive and realistic because they can relate to us. I honestly don't want to like get too deep into these videos because if I were to like go and break down every little thing about Scream, I'd probably be here for an hour, and I don't have time for that. I have work tomorrow. But I'll just summarize it. The first Scream is about a mass killer who can communicate through phone calls with a voice changer, taunting his victims before he eventually appears and kills the shit out of them. You have the mean protagonist, Sidney Prescott, played by Neve Campbell, and she's played the character for the past 5 films. She isn't going to be in 6, unfortunately, but she's been a steady lead, and she's ousted the killer every time. She is suffering from the loss of her mother the year prior. She has a boyfriend named Billy Loomis. Her friend group includes various characters, including, you got Randy Meeks, played by Jamie Kennedy. You got Stu Macher, played by Matthew Lillard. You got Billy Loomis, played by Skeet Ulrich. Then you got Tatum, played by Rose McGowan. And then you got Tatum's brother, played by David Arquette, and that is the fucking legend, Dewey. Then you also have, not a friend, but she's a pivotal part of the story and would be for the next 6 movies, Courtney Cox as Gale Weathers. So, this killer turns out to be Billy Loomis and Stu Macher, who, not shown in the film, but explained thoroughly as the killer's motive, is that she had an affair with Billy Loomis's father, which caused her mother to leave. So they took revenge and killed her mom. And a man named Cotton Weary was accused of it, and I think he's awaiting the death sentence. But Gale's determined to prove his innocence, and innocent he was, because Billy Loomis and Stu Macher have confessed and revealed themselves to be the killer. And yeah, they really play that. Movies can make this. Movies can make this. But Billy says that movies don't create psychos. Movies make psychos more creative. And Stu Macher, he has the most terrifying motive of all of them. And that's peer pressure. So in this movie, that you learn that the killer can always come back for one more scare unless you shoot him in the head. The Ghostface costume is fucking iconic. Black robe, a white weeping ghost mask from Fantastic Faces, which they briefly used a K and B mask with more narrow eyes, larger eyes, and a smaller mouth, which I actually kind of like that mask, especially with the gray shroud. Yeah, it's I don't know how to review this rather than just suck this movie's dick, because I literally I just love this movie a lot. Literally, it's funny as hell. The jokes work, especially that whole fountain scene where they're just talking. It feels like friends. It feels like real friends, having real insensitive conversations, especially when they're talking about Casey's death. The whole liver in the mailbox thing, that's funny. And also, fun fact, they originally approached Drew Barrymore to be the lead. She was going to play the role of Sydney, but she opted to play Casey Becker, the film's opening kill, which I think also boosted that movie into its iconic status, because nobody was expecting the biggest name on that cast to be the first kill. So that movie established itself for having some balls. The kills, while they're pretty stabby and shit, they are still iconic, especially with Tatum's death in the garage, her getting sucked up into the garage door and then her face crushed. Love it. And then also that scene with Casey running in the front yard, and then Ghostface catching her and just stabbing her in the chest. No cuts, you see the knife penetrate her skin. And then just that awful feeling, you're there. You're there in your front yard. Your parents are literally on the patio, but you just got your fucking voice box crushed, so she can't really call out. I mean, she could have thrown the phone, but horror movies. Yeah. I'm all over the place. I didn't really make any bullet points. I just wanted to come on here and give a review but really just express my love for the first Scream movie. If I had to rate this movie, it's obviously a 10 out of 10. Flawless. Often how would you put that? Often replicated but never duplicated, I think. If I'm wrong, just comment retard in the comments section. But that's it for me. It's Scream. It's Scream. It's as much of a classic as the first Halloween, the first Friday the 13th, the first Nightmare on Elm Street, and the first Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie. It deserves to be up there. So yeah, that's it for me. Thank you guys for watching. Bye.